Hi, everybody. I'm here with Cori Bush. Who is she? She's running for the first congressional district in Missouri. She's running against an establishment Democrat. She's a real progressive. And guess what? I'm going to tell you a little bit more about her before we start talking. She was the 2015 Women of Courage Award recipient from the Emmett Till Legacy Foundation. She's also the co-director of the Ferguson Truth Telling Project. So those are some great things. She's here with us right now. Hi, Cori. How are you?
Hey, I'm great. How are you?
Fantastic. Now, you're endorsed by the Justice Democrats, and you're also endorsed by the brand new Congress, which are the two big progressive organizations trying to get progressives in the politics, right? So how did you get it hooked up with those two organizations?
So I ran for the United States Senate in Missouri last cycle, and because it was just so different, almost unheard of, they came after me. They heard about me, and so we met at my campaign office, and we've just been together ever since. So that was almost a year ago.
Okay, fantastic. And so you want to replace school to prison pipeline with a school to prosperity pipeline, which everybody, that's a, I don't hear enough politicians talk about lowering our prison population, So tell me, how do you do that? How do you end the prison pipeline?
So I think it starts with our small children. We can't start from teenagers. We have to look at what's going on with our youth. Our babies go to school every day. Some of them go hungry. They know they don't have a way to eat the next day or the day after that. So who can sit in a classroom for 8 hours or 6 hours and you're hungry and you're expected to do well? So making sure that our children have our hungry children are able to eat and have healthy foods, not food deserts in our communities, which we see a lot in urban areas. Also, making sure that our families, that the parents have job training programs, because when they have job training programs and they're able to adequately provide for their families, then the youth are able to do better. So it's just like things like that, like to start. We're talking about things, dealing with our kids at an early age.
You're running against a corporate Democrat, and why do you think the Democrats are so slow to come around to progressive positions like yours?
Well, I think partly because it is a lot of change, and people are used to what they're used to. We're talking about changing a lot. We're not just saying, let's change things, a little bit at a time. We're not saying, because the thing is, we're dealing with someone right now in office who this is the way I see it. It's like going to a place to get, your eyebrows waxed or something. Instead of them just doing the eyebrows, they're waxing off arms. They're waxing. You're like, hey, wait a minute. It's too much. That's what is happening right now. And so we need to have people that are ready to step up to say, hold on, this is what we really need. This is what the community wants. Everybody in our community should have a voice. And so I think that that's ruffling some feathers, because we're taking it all right now, but it's time.
It is definitely time. Now, you want to have more funding for education, less funding for jails. What do you say to people when they say, oh, you want to spend more on education? How are you going to pay for that? What do you say to people when they say that?
I think that the first thing is when we've taken money from education, first of all, if we can at least just put the money back that we took. We have removed millions of dollars out of education just over the last few years. As a matter of fact, not even millions, we've moved a few $1 billion. And so if we can, so first of all, let's start with that. We move that money out, give us that money back, stop putting that money into prisons. So if you would take out the money that you've been, that was supposed to be for our education, supposed to be for our babies, supposed to be our future, and take it away from what's hurting us, do some, add more into recidivism programs, add more into father support or mother support for those when they come out of jail, put some more efforts into having those job programs ready, and then utilize that money that we're now not spending and put that back into our education system. That will reduce our pipeline.
So yeah, I don't hear politicians anymore talk about jobs programs. They don't even talk about it. They talk about training people for jobs that don't exist. So it's like, why don't they? So yeah, we incarcerate so many more people in the United. We call ourselves the freest country in the world, except we imprison more people than any other country in the world. So what now? you have some ideas for criminal justice reform, right? And so you say invest some of that money in job training. You invest some of that money for single moms. What are some of your other ideas for criminal justice reform?
We need access to quality mental health services.
Oh, you're right.
Yes. Yes, I see it all the time. I'm a mental health nurse, actually, and I work for a community-based mental health agency in St. Louis City.
Oh.
And so every day we service the homeless, we service the underserved, we service people that just were just released from prison. And after 30 days, some of them have nothing. And so we expect them to go back into the community. We expect them to do well. We expect them, after 10 years of being locked away, we expect them to be able to function and be productive in society. But they don't have Medicaid. They don't have Medicare. They have no way to get the medications they need. And we're talking about people that need sometimes up to $2,000 a month in just medication alone. So where do they get that money from?
Right. So that's a great point. People don't talk about the mental health issue. You know, we didn't have homeless people in America like we do all the time. That happened in the 80s. People don't even realize this. It was when Ronald Reagan defunded the cities, and so they cut mental health care services, and then we had an explosion of the homeless population. And when you see homeless people, those are people with mental illnesses more times than not, and they need help. And so we'll gladly give them a prison cell, but we won't give them a mental health facility that could actually help them. Now, you're a mental health nurse. That's fantastic. And so you have ideas to help. I mean, that would save us so much money. First, giving someone mental health care as opposed to locking them up in prison, correct?
Yes, yes. And they reach out for the help. But this is the thing. They need advocates. They need people that will walk through their daily life with them to see, because a lot of times they're transient. They're going from one place to another. If they end up homeless, then now they don't have ID. Well, how do you go into a homeless shelter without ID? They can't, even if we give them medication, they can't keep up with it because it's a lot of theft. They just deal with so many things on a daily basis. And so having support services readily available for everyone, not just some that meet certain requirements, but for every single person that's battling with chronic and persistent mental illness, would change so many lives.
That's such a great idea. What would be like, so if someone says to you, why should I vote for you instead of the other Democrat in the race? What would you say to them in a succinct way?
Okay. First, I'm fighting for a safer and healthier St. Louis. I'm a fighter, and I'm going to fight for St. Louis. I'm going to fight for our community because it's what I do now. I do it for free. That's the thing. I get off work and I do this work for free. I've started it before I ever decided to run for office, and I will continue to. I stood up against tanks in Ferguson, tanks and tear gas and rubber bullets, real bullets. I stood up against it all, and continuously, even after I was assaulted by 6 police officers. I still came back the next day. Well, not the next day, a few days later. But I still came back and I was out there. So in the same way that I fought, and I fight for all communities, Muslim, LGBT, undocumented immigrants, I do that now in the same way. I'm #Won'tBackDown. So just like that, that's how I'll be in Congress.
And so how does that separate you? How does that distinguish you from the other corporate Democrat running in the race?
Because I think that when you fight for the community, when you walk with the community, when you're boots to the ground and you hear, you see, you sit with them, you sup with them, you know what they're really going through, and you've been there yourself. Now that's another thing.
We know, I mean, I get it. You're a progressive. You're actually for the down and out. You're actually for the people who've been left behind in this economy. You actually, you're for mental health for people, right? No one even talks about that. So would you say you're for single payer health care?
Oh, yes. We need that. Give us that. Definitely.
So would you say you're for a $15 minimum wage?
100%.
Would you say you're for free college tuition?
Yes, and I'm happy for those that have already started.
Are you for re-regulating Wall Street and breaking up the big banks?
Yes.
Okay, so I don't see any problems with you. I think you're great.
Yes.
I mean, that's what the people want, Cori. I'm not saying that because of, I mean, of course, that's what I want, but that's what the people, we just talked about the new Harris-Harvard poll. That showed that Bernie Sanders is by far the most popular politician in the country. The next politician that comes close to him is Elizabeth Warren, and she's 20 points below him. And both those politicians are progressives who espouse the exact same things that you're espousing right now. So it sounds like you're in touch with the people, and the corporate Democrats and obviously the Republicans are not in touch with the people. Well, listen, I'm going to tell everybody all about you. You're for all the things that progressives should be for, and you got a good taste of the mainstream media not telling the truth about what's happening, and that's why you're in the Ferguson Truth Telling Project, because that's why people come to this show, because people were following Bernie Sanders, and then they watched how the mainstream news media covered him, and they knew they weren't covering him correctly. They were lying, and so that's why they came to the Young Turks. That's why they come to this show, and you've experienced that by watching how the mainstream news media covered Ferguson, and we're on the same page. So I'm going to tell everybody, Cori, what is your website?
It's votecoribush.com, and it's B-U-S-H.
B-U-S-H. Vote Cori Bush, C-O-R-I-B-U-S-H.
Yes.
Votecoribush.com?
Yes, the good Bush. Yeah.
The good Bush. Okay. Cori, we're going to talk more. I love that you're a mental health nurse. I love that you understand the real problems. I love that you want to end the BS drug war, right? You want to end the BS drug war, right?
Yes.
Okay. All right, everybody go to votecoribush.com, and we're going to revisit her next time when we don't have so many technical problems. I apologize for that. We'll see you next time, Cori. Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you for having me.
Young Turks members get to watch every single interview live as it happens. TYTnetwork.com/join.